You're locked in to Independent Grind on Dash Radio. Tune in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern for the latest hip-hop news, music, and interviews. Independent Grind only on Dash Radio, baby. Tech 9!
What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going? This is Nahom.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? This is Lucas.
Hello.
Hey, and I'm here with my co-host, Tiger.
Hi. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you.
So yeah, just real quick, I'll give you a rundown, and then we'll get into the interview. It'll air. We'll put it on probably next week, or I'll find a time in the schedule. But we'll let you know ahead of time, obviously. Promo it ahead of time, and then we'll play. We usually do like news, and then play some tracks. So we'll put your 2 tracks in the mix, and then play the interview.
Okay.
And then the next day we'll put it on our SoundCloud and YouTube, and I'll be sure to send over links and everything.
Okay, that sounds dope.
Cool. All right. So we'll just kick it off.
Yeah.
We are live with Sweden's own Nahom. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. I guess it's late there. I was trying to figure out like the time conversion for the interview, and I couldn't like figure it out. And it was like some of it's next day, some of it's not.
It's 6:30 here.
Okay.
In Sweden.
Well, yeah, I wanted to talk about that first. I guess we don't interview too many international artists, so sort of tell us a little bit about what the scene in Sweden's like for hip hop and stuff. Do you guys listen to like a lot of American music? What's the sort of scene like in Sweden?
The scene in Sweden, it's not that much international music. Maybe the British scene is coming up here in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, it's only like Swedish music here. Some rappers that rap in English and things like that, but not that big.
Okay.
Yeah, rappers here, it's like 6ix9ine and people like that who's blowing up here.
Okay, so like the trap scene's big, the trap music and stuff is still big in Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so funny now that like music travels so quickly that that stuff can go like everywhere, and it's funny like I found your stuff, then found yours from Sweden. That was like just super interesting. So I guess let's sort of go back to the beginning. How'd you get started making music?
I used to write poetry when I was little, and I've always been around music. I started in a gospel band in my church, and I played saxophone there. And then from there, it just took off to like playing in different jazz groups, and sort of developing from. That was kind of my core music inspiration, and later on it became. So I was going over to like 50 and the old school rappers. And when I started listening to, I remember it was, have you heard Kendrick Lamar's Rigor Mortis?
Yes.
Yeah. It was kind of that music that like triggered me into writing rhymes. And I also listened to Lupe a lot. And like Lupe, Kendrick, and J. Cole was kind of my inspiration. So I wrote for like 5 years straight, and now this year I released my debut album.
Were you writing and like recording music and stuff, or are you just sort of like writing bars and then not really doing?
Yeah, I started writing 5 years ago and started recording like a year ago.
Damn.
When I didn't have a studio or anything, and I couldn't afford like getting studio time. And then I found my cousin. He is friends with this producer who works in. At the time, he used to work in L.A. With a group there, and when he came back to Sweden, he was like testing me because he's used to having a way of working, and I was so new to this. So since a year back, he's been testing me and like pushing me to become to produce this album that we have today.
Mm-hmm. Was it hard to make that jump from sort of just writing into recording?
Yeah, kind of. When I write, I'm usually by myself. I don't show my lyrics, and kind of have another person like criticizing your music for the first time is kind of scary in a way, and it's hard to like feel comfortable in a situation when the other part is so experienced. But we took our time, and the result is here. And I'm really thankful for everything that he's been helping me with. The producers are by any means. I don't know if you know the duo.
Well, I know him I know him. They were on the Indigo project. That's how I sort of was introduced to him. And yeah, I was going to actually ask you about that. What was your guys' like process? Like, would they just come to a beat and you would have something already written to it? Or I guess what was that process like for recording Indigo?
It was kind of, it was an honest process. We were, he had this hard drive. Excuse me, my English isn't on fleek, but hopefully you'll understand. But he had this hard drive, and he just let me scroll through all the beats he had. He had like, I think it's 1,500 different beats. So we just sat there. Some of the beats I liked, and I tried to write to it, but if he didn't like it, he would tell me, and we had to start over again. So this process, we did this process for like a year, and we have like, I think I have 80 close to 80 unreleased songs from this whole process. So it's been an experience, and it's been really fun doing this.
Yeah, I think it's so good for artists who are starting out to find a producer who they could build with like that. And like just having one person there to build off of and connect with is like so crucial.
And I don't know, is the same process in America? Is that common, or?
I mean, it sort of depends on the artist. I think a lot of times people just sort of like work online. So like you'll find a producer or just find a beat and then buy that beat, or even just like, take a beat for free. And I think a lot of times like the big producer, like I always think of like Drake and 40, or here at Strange Music we have Tech 9 and 7. Like having that producer who you can build off of is so crucial, but it's hard starting out to sort of like find a producer. You might not live in the same area or anything, so like really finding someone to build off is like such an important part of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. In America, SoundCloud is pretty big, right? Mm-hmm. We don't have that big. It's not a big crowd here in Sweden who like pushes their music through SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. They just jump straight through to Spotify, and that's kind of sad, because mainly I think everybody who is big from this generation they started off at SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's kind of sad. I had that's the thing as well. I didn't want to drop anything until I found the right people to work with.
Yeah,
I could have dropped songs 5 years ago, but instead I decided to wait. And
How did you know you were ready to drop Indigo? Like, was there a set moment where you knew you were done with it?
No, we did like 6 months in. We did. Do you mean the single or the album?
Sorry, the album.
The album. I was in a competition in Stockholm, the capital of Sweden, that Red Bull had created, and out of like 800 people, I was one of 7 who had to do a live cipher. And after that, I didn't get elected. There was four out of 7 who were elected to go to London and record in one of Red Bull studios.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, after I didn't get accepted, I just promised myself to release my shit before they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because after their journey, they're supposed to drop a single or some project. But yeah, I promised myself. I told my producer. This was like in late March, and we finished the whole album in the last of May.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pretty fast working process.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like, being a finalist on the Red Bull Challenge and being able to go down to Stockholm and do that cipher?
It was kind of scary because, as I said before, there are only majority of rappers here in Sweden are rapping in Swedish. So I was the first ever who got that far by rapping in English. So it was it was unknown terrain. It was kind of different. They were categorizing me different, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of scary, but it was fun at the same time. I met a lot of artists that I still have. I keep in touch with still today. So it was kind of dope.
Do you write in English? I'm curious, like, sort of like why you picked English as opposed to, like the other artists who don't rap in English or whatever. Like, what was it about English that spoke to you?
I'm trying to think outside the box. Since everybody's rapping in Swedish, well, I might as well rap in English. So I kind of like stick out from the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And like find new ways to like attract a audience who is not like the local friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
And my songs reach out to you, and that's the other side of the world. So yeah, but I just wanted to like see how far I could take it with English. Mm-hmm. And like I said before, I grew up with 50, J. Cole, Kendrick, and people like that. So that's my inspiration, and that's the reason why I picked the language I chose.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, it came through really clearly, as you said, to found us. I actually found Save Me First was like the first song I heard from you. And went back and listened to everything else. And I actually thought your strategy was kind of interesting. You dropped Indigo, the song, in 2017, and then like 2 songs this year. Can you sort of talk about what made you want to drop those before the project?
So I started working with the producer in like early March,
mm-hmm.
no, early February of 2017. So we had been working like 6 months, and my producer was, I think he was kind of anxious. He didn't tell me anything, but he just wanted to make something, mm-hmm. because everything I did at the time, it was just drafts. And then we sat one day in the studio. At the time, I only did old school boom bap beats. So he just wanted to switch it up. So he showed me some tropical Afro beats,
mm-hmm.
and it sort of went from there. And I started writing, and then all of a sudden he wanted me to sing. I've never sang on a song before, and then we just came up with the hook, and that's the song. So I released the song in August, I think. Got a lot of buzz, mm-hmm. From the beginning. Right after like a week or something, I had over 20,000 listenings. So I wasn't expecting that. I was tops tops 5,000 after like a period of time, but now it's up to like 500,000.
Yeah, I was gonna actually ask you about that. It's kind of crazy. To like when I first found you, I went on the Spotify and saw that, and I was like wondering, because Spotify is interesting, where like, you know, you find those new artists and stuff, but a lot of times they don't have like the numbers or whatever. But then occasionally I'll find someone that like you, sort of, it is a newer artist, but also has like one song with like 500,000 or whatever. What do you think like contributed to that? Was there playlisting? What caused that spike?
I think it was the timing. I think it was, since it was summertime, the song kind of matched the whole vibe, the whole industry at the time. So I think it's a lot about the timing, and then after a while, since it got that kind of buzz right from the first week, it got into many Spotify playlists, and it sort of took off from there. So that's pretty dope. But at the same time, it's kind of scary to have that kind of buzz right from the beginning. So because if you don't get that kind of buzz in the songs after, it kind of fucks with you. So you still have to be like, I don't know. You still have to be consistent in your work, and be active, and not just only producing music, but in social media and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know.
What's your like? I mean, do you record like every day? What's your sort of like process for keeping that momentum going? Are you still making music? Did you take a break? Like, what do you do on like a daily basis almost?
The song after Save Me, I dropped in December, I think, something like that. So it was I let the Indigo song sit there for a while, and Save Me was kind of personal, because it was kind of you had all this buzz around you, and Save Me was kind of like, I'm trying to be humble, but it's hard when people like hype you up for stuff like this. So after a while, wait 1 second. So after a while, it was like I released the song, and shit was just it was kind of a rough time, because I didn't have the buzz. People didn't appreciate it as much as Indigo, because it was more of a tropical dance radio song. And since it was so close to my heart, man, it sucked. So I took a break between those periods of time, and then I got accepted to the Red Bull competition, and after that, it just took off.
Are you doing live shows or anything too, or have you sort of like still working on the recorded stuff before you move into performing live? I know you did the Cypher, but are there like other live shows you're doing?
Oh no, I've been doing live shows for almost 3 years now.
Oh wow!
So I've been playing in Malmö and Lund. I don't know if these names sound familiar to you, but a lot of club gigs here in the area I live in, and some outside the county I live in. So it's kind of dope. People see me here in Sweden, even though I don't rap in the language they normally listen to, and honestly, some of them don't even know what I'm talking about, but it's kind of dope that they decide to book me and things like that.
I think that's cool. Like sometimes I'll find music like I'm thinking like Japanese hip hop a lot or something, and you don't know what they're saying, but you can kind of like feel it and see and like feel especially with hip hop. I feel like or with hip hop, it's like flow is like a big is a big thing. So I think that's super interesting. And I've also been like trying to like, I see like we looked up like blog posts or whatever from you, and I'll like basically click around until I find new music and then try to listen to something something in Swedish. So yeah, it was funny when I hear, because your English on there is like perfect. So I was like, oh man, he's Swedish. That's pretty cool.
That's kind of rare, right?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, you mentioned it like you didn't really sing before. You were mainly like rapping and stuff. But I wanted to actually talk about that because you have a lot of diverse sounds in here. Is rapping what you're most comfortable with, or do you do like a sort of in between? Like, are you feeling your way around that more?
After the Indigo song, my producer kind of pushed me towards singing. I feel comfortable in either way, depending on the mode and the vibe. Mm-hmm. The people I worked with during the whole process, it was one guy from America, League. He's from a group called Squad Shit Only, and he's kind of a, the whole LA thing, when I think it's trap that's mainly hot there, but he kind of pushed me towards that part of rap. And there's this girl called Winta. She pushed me towards the whole Afrobeat vibe. And Christian also, he sang in Catching Feelings. The fun thing about Catching Feelings is that when we recorded it, Christian was, I think it was 15. So he was kind of young, and we were sitting there together, and we wrote the singing part there. And he didn't want us to see when he was singing, so he kind of forced us to leave the whole place. So he sat there. So it's all dependent on the vibe. The last song, the R&B song, I'm not even in it. Mm-hmm. We made an R&B song where the singing was the main focus. So the whole album is kind of like different states of the time I was living. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Is there one style that like you're going to try to pursue more moving forward, or are you going to try to keep that balance between them all?
The thing is, I kind of want to shock people. I want to do the unexpected, mm-hmm. And like try different things that people maybe wouldn't have expected from me. Mm-hmm. Indigo was kind of a shock to people. People didn't know I could sing. So that kind of surprise is what I'm striving towards.
Mm-hmm. Are you gonna, like you mentioned LA, are you gonna try to I know a lot of here, like, a lot of people who aren't from LA try to move to LA, and that's sort of like the big town to quote unquote make it in. Are you gonna try to make the move? Or are you gonna stay in Sweden? Sort of what are your goals moving forward?
At the moment, I want to focus on building a platform here. Mm-hmm. And when I do, I have friends over there in LA, mm-hmm. And I have some friends in Atlanta as well. So when I feel like I'm ready to take it to the US, hopefully I get a shot. But mm-hmm. I mainly want to focus on spreading my sound here, and hopefully it will naturally go over the coast.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think here in America, we get especially with music, we get very short-sighted and think it's like, America is the only thing. And then it's crazy to jump outside of that and see all these artists who are doing crazy numbers in Europe or in Australia and stuff. And you kind of lose, I feel like, even though music has gone so global with the internet, you kind of lose sight of that. So it was a nice perspective to sort of get like the sort of like hear about Sweden, learn about this culture and this music that we didn't, because I just feel like it's so often in here we're like, oh, America is where all the music is, and I feel like you can make it other places, which is good perspective, I think, to have. Especially Tiger.
You're right in a way because the money is in America, but in terms of views and getting gigs, you can get it anywhere.
Yeah, and I know a lot of artists, especially hip hop. A lot of like the quote unquote underground rappers here, the independent rappers, have big followings in Europe, and they play more shows in Europe than they do in the United States because of, I think, the culture and the people there are a little more passionate about that hip hop there than I think they are here.
Absolutely, that's crazy.
So yeah, what do you have coming up now that you've dropped Indigo and?
Like I said, I have a lot of songs with my producer. Now I just want to find like gigs around the country, and I will drop more consistent projects. For these years, I've just been like testing myself to come to a level of where I can perform as a great songs. So it took a lot of time, but now I'm ready to like push my songs more consistent. And like I said, I have 80 songs that I'm gonna drop during a period of time. And then I'm writing as well in Swedish. And I'm from Ethiopia, so I write in my own language as well. So I'm just trying different languages and different flows, different styles, different beats. So yeah, it's gonna be dope.
What is that like being an Afro-Swedish individual in that culture and like trying to rap with like natural-born Swedes?
It's kind of weird. People like expect you to do certain things like playing basketball and rap. It's kind of it's a stereotype, and sadly I played both. I played basketball and rapped. So it's kind of a weird feeling for people. Like when I say I rap, people like, oh yeah, of course you do. So it's kind of, yeah, I don't really care, but
yeah.
Well, I think it's cool. I mean, I think you have, like you mentioned, Ethiopia, and you have all that. And I feel like you are very diverse in your music and stuff. So I think, and trying to do something different, I think does make you stand out. And I think that's how we sort of stumbled on your stuff. But yeah, before we let you get out of here, I want to ask 3 random questions for you. The first one is, what movie can you watch without ever getting sick of?
What was the name of that movie? It's a French movie. An Unexpected Friendship, I think it was. Have you seen it?
Nope.
You should see it. It was dope.
All right, we'll have to go check it out. And then next question, what's something about Sweden Americans should know but probably don't?
I don't know if you know it, but we have beautiful women.
I knew that. I have heard that.
Yeah. Well, other than that, I don't know.
All right, well, I'll take that answer.
And then last one would probably be, what was your favorite album of 2018?
2018, Indigo, of course. That's a shit.
What about not from you?
Not from me. I would say I've been listening a lot to Denzel Curry's album that dropped this week. That was a dope one. KOD is also dope. And Kid Cudi's album as well. But I think KOD was the most fire album, according to me, since I'm a Cole fan.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah. Lastly, where can fans find you on socials and stuff? Where do you want to plug you?
On Instagram, my name is Nahom.gc. My name is, I have Twitter, Nahom. I have Spotify, you can find me. My name is Nahom. Just search Indigo and you'll find me. SoundCloud as well. Nahom. So you'll find me everywhere. I'm everywhere.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us. Congrats on the project. We're big fans of it, and we're looking forward to what you got coming up next.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I take care.
Cool, man. See ya.
See ya.
This is the genius, Chris Calico. Cali, baby. Letting you know you're tuned into Tech Nine's Independent Grind on Dash Radio.